Well, I've gotten used to doing these live chats with you from my outdoor abode in my gazebo. A little too windy for that today. The wind noise would have been would have made this almost unlistenable. So I have opted for yet not to go back to the studio, but rather to give you my studio away from my studio, which happens to be the cab of my pickup truck. And you know what? The more I think about it, the more I realize this is absolutely the most fitting place to do this commentary. Rashida Tlaib, member of the squad, her, Ilhan Omar, and AOC, and I forget what the other member of the squad's name is. Is it Presley? I only have so much capacity to deal with dimwits and wingnuts, and the whole squad. They just really. I can't allow a group of that kind of incredible dysfunctionality take up that much space in my mind and memory capacity. But Rashida Tlaib is a member of the squad, and she, along with other peers of hers, for the past couple of days have had members of the banking industry up on Capitol Hill. Yesterday they were grilled by the House, and today they're being grilled by the Senate. Now, I normally don't have a lot of nice things to say about bankers and corporate CEOs, and you know how I feel, even as a conservative, that we have got to stop just giving these blanket defenses and endorsements of all things corporate. That is not capitalism. That is absolute fascism, and I may re-explain that. I may not. But I never have anything nice to say about most of those guys. But yesterday, Jamie Dimon, CEO of, I believe it's J.P. Morgan, absolutely schooled Rashida Tlaib on how the fossil economy actually works. She was grilling all of these CEOs from Morgan Chase and Wells Fargo and all the big banking industries. She was she was trying to get all of them to commit to no longer funding fossil fuel companies. So in other words, all of the major gas companies, all of the major oil companies, don't work with them, don't loan them any money, don't let them use your banks, just don't work with them. And she wanted all of them to commit. Well, the problem was none of them told her what she wanted to hear. She wanted them all to commit, they wouldn't do it, that they would no longer work with the fossil fuel industry. But most of them did that kind of that middle of the road, trying to still be woke, and talking about, well, we're going to work with fossil fuel companies, but we're also going to work with people that are into the alternative energy and the renewable energies and all of that. But Jamie Dimon, when she asked him point blank, will you stop funding fossil fuel companies? He said no. That would put America on the path to hell. Wait, what? I mean, he actually answered her that matter of fact and direct. That would put us on a road to hell. And he is absolutely right. Now, she got all incensed and indignant and said, well, I would certainly hope that any young person that we have just canceled their student debt, that if they've got bank accounts in your bank, that they move those bank accounts immediately. See, once again, Rashida, because you're a lib, you don't really understand how things work. And the fact that your guaranteed student loan program is the reason there's all this debt to begin with. It's the reason that college education is so expensive. Do you know there was a time in our nation's history you could work a part-time job and pay your way through most colleges, including Harvard. And that was back in the 1960s. You could still work a job and work your way through an Ivy League school. The reason that you can't work through an Ivy League school anymore, or even a run-of-the-mill college anymore, there is no incentive for them to be competitive financially with their tuition scale. Because there is the guaranteed student loans out there that you're willing to put all these young people in hock for the rest of their lives, there is no reason for the colleges to keep costs down. They have guaranteed funding. So that's why the buildings get bigger. That's why the professors are, paid beyond their intelligence. They have more degrees than a thermometer, but hey, they're giving your kid a quality education, and when they leave their school with a BS degree in Aztec art, it's going to be amazing. Yes, because a degree in Aztec art is BS. And when these young people graduate with degrees that they can't use for anything, they can't get a job with it, they have all this debt. And again, it's a vicious cycle created by the government. The government solves nothing. It makes everything worse. And so really, to grill these CEOs, and again, I am not defending these guys. I mean, Jamie Dimon is a multi-billionaire. But he spoke it plain and he said it direct. No, that would put America on the path to hell. You do understand that right now we do not have the infrastructure or the ability to just flip a switch and go green immediately. Now, again, I'm one of those people. Somebody wants to own an electric car, more power to you. Go for it. Enjoy it. I drive an electric vehicle. It's called a golf cart. The lithium battery technology is not there yet. If you're watching me on a mobile device, a cell phone, a laptop, that you're watching me on battery power, isn't it amazing how when you first get the electronic device, I mean, the battery life is just sick. It just seems to go on forever. Then it gets to be about a year old, and you're noticing it's less and less, and even after a full charge, within a matter of minutes, it's down to 50%. You basically haven't done anything. Now imagine that with a vehicle. A year ago, Ford introduced their electric truck, and I got to admit, it was a sweet-looking truck. I actually saw one up close and personal. I mean, it's a good-looking ride, and I mean, it looks like a truck. And boy, oh boy, it can pull. But there you go. Once you actually put a load on that truck, like a camper, a trailer pulling a riding lawnmower, you go from basically being able to go 300 or 400 miles on a charge to going 50 miles. Wow, wouldn't it be fun to hook up your electric truck to the camper and head out on your 1,000-mile road trip to where you're going camping and literally have to stop every 50 miles to recharge? And so what Jamie Dimon was saying was the obvious. Our economy, that is not sustainable on any level. Rashida, you're supposed to be from Michigan, represent the people of Michigan. What about the auto industry? That's a big chunk of your constituency. Where are they going to work? What kind of jobs are they going to have? By the way, the fossil fuel industry, it's not just in Texas and red states. It's in Michigan. It's in Ohio. In fact, Ohio actually produces more fuel than Texas. Shazam, Batman. And you're going to displace all these people. You have no infrastructure in place for people needing to get in their electric car and go coast to coast. I mean, it would take, it's just this over-the-top hyperbole and feel-goodism. But when you then start enacting laws where you're going to punish the companies that don't, And you're going to mandate that people must buy this, like California has done with the electric car, and Tim Ryan in Ohio wants Ohioans now to have to suffer that. Oh, wait, I thought he was a guy for the working man. That's what all of his TV commercials say. I'm for working Americans. I sided with Donald Trump when he wanted to bring businesses back from China and bring a manufacturing back to America. I agreed with Donald Trump. Yes, but everything that you've done since, voting with Obama, Biden, and the Democrats on everything and all of this money and spending and taxing, which is increasing and doubling and tripling the recession and on its way to a depression. And it doesn't matter if there are businesses out there that are giving people raises. It's not keeping up with the rate of inflation. You're going to the supermarket and spending the same and coming home with less. And he wants to mandate that in Ohio, they just pick an arbitrary date, and then that's it. You got to have an electric vehicle. See, that's not capitalism. That is totalitarianism. That is fascism. I've said it before, and I will say it again. It's why we as conservatives have got to get away from just giving blanket support to corporations, because our logic has always been, well, it's the corporations and the businesses that provide the employment for people. But the funny thing is these CEOs are all liberal. They are all sold out to the woke causes. It's where they put all of their money. They back all of this. But yet it's we, the conservatives, we're the ones that go out and defend them, while the very people they're electing are the ones that in their campaign ads target them, because it's really a wink and a nod. They make them the villain in the campaign ad to make the working people think, yeah, see, candidate so-and-so, he's for us, when behind closed doors, he's taking money from all those CEOs. It's a vicious cycle, and we conservatives keep defending this. Enough already, because it was these corporations that during the pandemic, during the lockdowns, which Dr. Fauci now says in 2020 did create some real problems. You think? That'll be tomorrow's monologue. Because Fauci's on his tour right now, where he's trying to blunt the sword that's coming for him after the midterms. He's trying to, well, I acknowledge we were kind of learning things on the fly. No. Doesn't cover up for the fact, gain of function. You're in this up to your eyeballs. You, sir, need to go to prison. We'll deal with that tomorrow. But these corporations that literally came in during the lockdowns and they crushed and put out of business all of the independent businesses, all of the mom and pops, all of the small companies that were just trying to make it. They're in bed completely with the government now. They're still privately owned, but they do the bidding of the government. That is fascism. We have a totalitarian system now that tells us you will do thus and such. It's a funny thing. The government didn't have to mandate for people to want to convert their homes to electricity after Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. They saw the light bulb and said, hey, I like that. I want that. I want to convert my house to electricity. People didn't need the government to tell them after Henry Ford got the assembly line process rolling and gas-powered vehicles. People didn't have to be mandated by the government to give up the horse and buggy. So when the government steps in and starts mandating, there's a problem. It's not just the soft behind-the-scenes money of the electric car company people kicking money to these politicians, but the government taking us in a place where they control literally every aspect and area of our life. That is totalitarianism. And that is what Rashida Tlaib wants. And that was why Jamie Dimon said what he said. That is the path to hell. Think about where we're at right now in this country. We have enough fuel to be energy independent. Donald Trump proved that. In fact, we have enough natural gas in this country that most experts put it at somewhere between 400 to 450 years We could go wide open and power everything on natural gas and not tap the supply, not run it out. Think about that. We could be energy independent, and we're not. You know who is? Our so-called enemies are. You know why this whole farce and canard and everything happening over in the Ukraine right now? This fantasy that the West is trying to sell us on through the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media that we are going to beat Putin. You can't beat Putin. You know why you can't beat Putin? You can't beat somebody that you can't say no to. Let me say that again. You can't beat somebody you can't say no to. And see, we can't say no to Putin because Putin controls gas and oil. Bum, ba-dum, bum. That fossil economy. Hey, newsflash for you AOC and Rashida Tlaib and all the rest of you libloon maniacs out there that really haven't comprehended all this, or maybe you have as globalists and it's what you want to drive America to be, third world Venezuela. But China and Russia are never going to go green. India, not going to go green. Not going to do it. So the biggest population centers on the planet are going to continue to be fossil fuel, and they will have the stronger economy. Look what's happened as a result of these so-called sanctions we put on Russia. Russia's not suffering. We are. We are. Russia's economy is actually stronger than ours. The ruble is trading higher now than the dollar for the first time like ever. And Russia and China joining their economies together to create an alternative economy where now they have all their own versions of PayPal and credit cards, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. At what point do the European nations, which are already in bed with Russia to get their fuel because they don't want to freeze this winter and they don't want to pay exorbitant amounts of money for it, and so they are going to acquiesce to Putin. At what point do they leave behind when it comes to international trading, which uses the U.S. dollar? When will they leave us behind and side up with Russia, China? But see, you got to score points here with the libloons and the woke society, because after all, we're in a culture war. No, we're in a class war, and the ruling elite are winning because they get us fighting with each other over nonsense when in reality they are taking all of the wealth, which means they have all of the power. And by the way, even if they force all of us over here onto quote-unquote green energy, I promise you the elites, they'll still have fossil fuel vehicles and private planes and houses where the lights stay on and don't suffer from rolling blackouts, etc., etc., etc. You can't beat Putin because Putin controls gas and oil for Europe. And unless you're willing to do something really radical that we know the radical left would be totally opposed to, unless you're really ready to commit to all-out war and level Russia and take the oil, take the gas, which of course we're not going to do, obviously. So we're going around the nation or the world, supposedly as a superpower, literally with our hands out, begging Saudi Arabia to give us an extra drop of oil while we sell our strategic oil supply to China. Beijing Biden in action. And Rashida Tlaib and the rest of the nags and hags up on Capitol Hill, they keep us entertained with, they're talking tough to bankers like Elizabeth Warren. They're talking tough to bankers. When in reality, we are a fossil-driven economy. We are. And without it, America is done. Jamie Dimon, and a Freudian slip, spoke truth. That is the reality. So we'll see. We'll see where the conservatives, the real conservative voice, is pushing back on any of this lunacy. This, again, is why they hate Donald Trump. It's why they're doing everything they can to keep discrediting him. I mean, it's so bad with what the New York Attorney General did that even William Barr, who lately has been talking about Trump ought to be prosecuted for the Mar-a-Lago raid, but comes out yesterday and defends Trump that the New York AG went too far. Oh, it's why the establishment hates Trump. He understands certain basics that, like, he who has the oil rules, because the world's got to have it, because our cars don't run on unicorn piss and sunshine. So that's why Trump, not being a globalist, that was what made him the enemy. Not because he was a conservative or he tweeted mean things. He's not part of the ruling class. So what can we do? Make sure that Trumplicans get elected during this midterm season. And then it's time to really roll our sleeves up and make sure what needs to happen in 2024 happens.